Great to see you, sir. Hey, great job on your piece. What'd they call it? The Odd Couple? Oh, I did. Yeah, it was really good. That was really good. You had to go all the way back to December to find something positive the governor said about me. Did you give him the handouts? Oh, did you like the handout? Did you see this too? Yeah, it's pretty good. No, it's great. It's great to have the dean here. You know, it's there's a lot going on up here at the Capitol. So when you get the dean here, you know what you're doing is important. And now I don't know, now I will say Jordan is very hard on me, very tough journalist, but I thought, everyone should read this bridge story. Now, there was one fact check written in the most generous way possible for the governor, and we get that. I mean, a lot of the reporters are Democrats, but The one about the roads, and we'll get into that in a second because, you know, the governor said some very false things yesterday, spreading misinformation about the House Republican roads plan. And I just want to be clear, you know, we worked, and by the way, the House Republican roads plan is the only bipartisan roads plan that exists in the state of Michigan because Republicans and Democrats voted for it. And what's really important about the House Republican roads plan is that we actually ensure that revenue sharing is protected, something that maybe Governor Whitmer and her team were not aware of. But in the final version of the bill, we actually worked with our Democrat colleagues and we came together and we funded revenue sharing. Not only that, but we also proposed a public safety trust fund, something that a lot of you covered last week. And you see what Mayor Duggan says. He says, "I've dealt with Lansing for a lot of years, and for many years you would rarely see a Republican leader in the city of Detroit. That started to change, and Speaker Hall has been down here regularly. This is what we need." And according to many reports, he even said that Speaker Hall is doing a great job. So you see that we're building inroads in the city of Detroit, and you saw Alabas Farhat there. You saw Karen Whitsett there. We were there with Wayne County Sheriff Washington. We were there with a lot of Democrats, a lot of police chiefs from Metro Detroit, and we were talking about how do we make their community safer? How do we ensure that they have the resources they need dedicated to public safety? That's why they call it a public safety trust fund, because you're taking the money, the new money that we're going to give to local governments, and you're dedicating it to public safety. And you're telling them, you get this money if you bring in the equipment and the new officers you need, and you lower your violent crime rates, you'll keep getting the money, okay? So not only are we funding revenue sharing, which goes to police and fire, but we are going to be moving very soon on a public safety trust fund that expands the funding for public safety for the first time in Michigan's history, dedicating specific state money to public safety for local government. So, you know, that is nowhere, anywhere in the House Republican plan could you say or even argue that it cuts public safety or fire. So that's what the fact check should have been, honestly. And then the other one, the very false statement made about housing, you look at this, I mean, and you got this right in Bridge, and everyone should read that. The Community Housing Development Fund is funded in our final version. That was something that we worked out with the Democrats. You notice we had a lot of Democrats voting for the House bill. That's why it's the only bipartisan bill to fix our roads. And we made sure that we funded the housing fund in there, and we funded revenue sharing. And actually, all of these local governments are embracing and endorsing our plan. If we were cutting police and fire, then why would the Michigan Municipal League come out in support of our plan? Or the counties, or the townships? These are very difficult groups to please, and they're all embracing and speaking positive and supporting our plan. So, you know, that was a little unfortunate. But I will say this other fact check in Bridge was incredible. You should read it. It's called Fact Check. Is this like a new column that you do?
Just try to do what we can.
It's great. Well, this is the first story I've seen that lays out that there is an education plan moving. And Jordan picks 3 things in there that she highlights of bills that are moving, and it's really good. But we've been talking about this for a few weeks. We should be discussing the fact that there is a lot of education stuff moving through the House, and it's bipartisan. It's getting 80 votes, 90 votes. And you're going to see more of that this week as we move forward on a new plan for our M-STEP, where we're ensuring that the M-STEP isn't just done at the end of the year. It's done throughout the year, so you can benchmark over time and teachers can get involved earlier. I think that's going to be really good legislation this week. And then we're modernizing the Michigan Merit Curriculum We're going to ensure more flexibility, that vocational skill courses can be used as alternatives. There's going to be more flexibility to fill these graduation requirements. Things like computer coding could be a foreign language, computer science could be a science class, construction math could fulfill the math requirements, accounting could fulfill the math requirements, trade schools will count as dual enrollment. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to modernize the curriculum to focus on real life skills. This is very significant, and you see we're getting a lot of Democrats on these bills. We went through this at a prior press conference, and you see they handed this to you today. Do you guys, hopefully you guys all got this, Tim. But I mean, as we look at this, going through this stuff, I mentioned the dual enrollment. That got 92 votes in the House. That's a big deal. You look through this, filling critical shortages in the classroom, got 96 votes in the House. Giving parents more information so that the website, actually having a compare function on there so you could easily compare the schools and know how your school's performing, that got 86 votes. So remember when they did A through F, that was very controversial. It was like a party line thing. So we came up with a way, we said, how do we do the goal? The goal is to give parents more information about how their schools are performing and to do it in a way that is easy to use and easy to understand. And we figured out a way to do that that got 86 votes. So more people should be writing about this. You look at this, I'm looking through these things. We talked about waiving the state fees on teachers. That got 83 votes. That was something that was covered in the bridge story. 97 votes in the House for helping to put more money into the classroom by allowing school districts to consolidate more of these services, these administrative overhead services. Who would have thought we could get 97 votes for that? So there's a lot of really good things that we're doing, and you know, the reason we're doing it is because, you know, the math and reading scores are dropping. They're not going in the right direction. You even heard Governor Whitmer admit this in her State of the State when she talked about how the scores are going in the wrong direction, even though we're giving them more money than we've ever given them before. So we've got to do something different. And one of my favorite bills is the bill, and Jordan covered this, one of my very favorite bills is making phonics the standard, the academic standard for Michigan, but also ensuring that, you know, we have state recommended curriculums. You know, and I mentioned this, there's this website, Pinterest, and pretty much it's only being used now by teachers looking for curriculums. But also TikTok, you know, they're going on there, they're looking for curriculums. There's all kinds of places. There are thousands of curriculums in the state of Michigan. So wouldn't it be nice if we had a website where there were peer-reviewed curriculums, ones that work, ones that are proven, that are recommended, and then the schools can look at them and use the ones they want. I had some school groups in my office the other day, and I mentioned to the teachers, wouldn't you like it if there was this list? And they said, that would be so helpful. It's so hard going on Pinterest and all these other websites, TikTok, to find curriculums. And not all these school districts have their own curriculum directors. Only the really, really wealthy districts have their own curriculum directors. So if we can help them by doing a lot of that work for them, so the proven, peer-reviewed ones that work are on there, that's going to be a big deal. So appreciate you covering that, Jordan. So I just want to point out, you know, there's some real solid education stuff going on here. And this is the bipartisan stuff. So, you know, we didn't go at it and say, what would be the plan that Republicans 100% would support and Democrats would 0% support? We said education is a big problem. Everyone's admitting it. What are the things we can do now that are immediate that could get bipartisan support? And we've been moving on those things. And if that just moves the needle 20%, where, you know, we're making a 20% improvement to education, well, that adds up over time. You know, if you do these things over time where you're taking, you know, little pieces to improve the system, that adds up. But to say oh, we're just going to wait until one side or the other side gets 100%, we're going to have a lot of kids that are going to lose out on the opportunity to get a better education that applies to real life skills if we're waiting for that. We need to act now, and that's what House Republicans are doing. But I'll talk more about roads, and hopefully you guys see this. You know, Governor Whitmer, and we're just trying to give you a review of what's going on, right? We haven't been together up here in 3 weeks, although some of you came to Detroit and saw me. I appreciate that. But, you know, we haven't been here together for 3 weeks, so I just wanted to kind of give you a summary of what's been going on. So we mentioned what Mayor Duggan is saying about the House Republicans and me. You know, we saw what President Trump is saying. He's saying, Matt Hall, the Speaker of the House from Michigan, he's been fantastic as the Speaker, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Matt. Great job. So we know what the President thinks about the work I'm doing and the House Republicans are doing. We know what Mayor Duggan thinks. But what does Gretchen Whitmer think? Well, she says, there's only two people who've had the guts and the brains to put a plan out. Frankly, it's Speaker Matt Hall and me. And we saw her yesterday at the Detroit Economic Club. You know, now I know she was spreading some misinformation there, but she also said some very truthful and positive things about me along the lines here about, you know, how I've put a plan out there and the House Republicans are leading on roads. So we appreciate that. And then we all saw Governor Whitmer in the Oval Office. When asked if her and I get along, she says, yes, about 70% of the time. And so I take that as, you know, she agrees with 70% of the things we're doing, which is pretty good. You see, I would have thought, you know, a typical Republican and Democrat and divided government, you know, most people I think would expect if the number was 50%, that's pretty good. I mean, 50%, but no, she said 70%, right? But how could she come to a different conclusion when you see what we're doing? Our education plan, right? I mean, 80, 90 votes on every one of these bills. You saw what we did on sick leave and tip credit, right? Everything we're doing has broad bipartisan support, and that has left Whitmer to conclude. You know what? I agree with Matt Hall and the Republicans 70% of the time in the House. So that's sort of what we've been doing. I'll just talk a little bit about roads, and then we'll take some questions. But on roads, and we talked about how Governor Whitmer said, I have the guts and the brains, and I put a plan out. And you heard her yesterday at the Detroit Economic Club praise us for having a plan and putting it forward. Now, there are a few things I would say. Number one, I think she said that both of us have put high-level plans out there. I would dispute that. I think she's put a high-level plan out there, but we actually wrote up legislation and passed it through the House. So I wouldn't call that a high-level plan. I would say we actually put forward a very detailed plan in writing that went up for a vote and received broad bipartisan support. So I would actually distinguish between her plan, which is a high-level plan. It's kind of a menu of here's a whole bunch of like concepts that we could do. And our plan, which we actually put in writing and put up on a, you know, these bills are very big. I mean, do you know this? I mean, these bills are many, many pages, details, written. It's a very detailed plan when you put it in writing and put it up on the board. And there were quite a few bills. I mean, how many bills were there? There were probably 8 bills. There were a lot of bills. What? 9 bills. So 9 bills. That's not a high-level plan. That's a pretty detailed plan, honestly. And I was so proud of our House Republicans and Pat Outman who did it. And but you look at our plan, which was very detailed, and I hear, you know, Democrats who could. I just think the Democrats don't understand it. They're too busy. I don't know where they are. Where are they today? Where the Senate Democrats? Is the Senate in today? No. Has the Senate been in since you started, Dakota? What do you think? No. And you know, we're bringing on all kinds of people. I don't know if you know that. We're bringing in a lot of people. You guys are going to know Dakota very soon, one of our new comms guys. But anyway, yeah, Senate's never been in since you've been here. Are you looking forward to the Senate being in? I mean, wouldn't that be fun? To see them? I mean, to see them in person? We'll see if it happens. But anyway, the Senate is not in session. They're not here. And they're really, all they're doing is saying negative things about the House plans, but they're not offering any plans of their own. So, I'm hearing that they may have a hearing this week, and we'll see what happens. But I'll just point out a few things. The Senate has no plan. And we have a plan, a very detailed plan. And when you look at our plan, I mentioned how everything they're saying is false about revenue sharing. We're very clear. Not only do we have revenue sharing in there, the Public Safety Trust Fund is in there, which actually shows we're committed to doing more for public safety and local public safety than has ever been done. We talked about how we actually do make the investments in affordable housing. And we did that based on feedback of Republicans and Democrats before we put it up for a vote in the House. We talked about how all the local government groups are supporting our plan. Many Democrats, Mark Hackel, Warren Evans, many Democrats are supporting our plan. And then when you look at our plan, what we do is we prioritize roads over the big corporations. So what we're saying is instead of giving the big corporate giveaways to the 8 or 10 most connected corporations in Michigan, we can just fix our roads by treating everybody the same. Secondly, we're just going to stop the pork projects. We're not going to do the pork spending anymore. When they try to say there's $3 billion in cuts, that's just false. I mean, we've laid it out. You just stop giving the money to the corporations, that's $1 billion. Those projects have not worked, and we're going to show you very soon. But every one of them haven't worked, from Goshen to Ford to GM to Arnex Energy. I just read a story about that one. They're still declining. None of them have worked. They've spent billions of dollars of our state surplus on earmarks to buy off politicians' votes and these big corporate giveaways. It didn't work. So we're just saying, stop. Let's invest in roads instead of giving the money to the big corporations and giving the money to buy off politicians' votes through these secretive pet projects. We're just going to stop doing that. That's $1.5 billion right there. Then we're going to take the $600 million that the Treasury found in surplus revenue ongoing. That's $2.1 billion. And then, we're going to do the shift at the pump. We're going to make sure that all the money you collect at the pump goes to roads. We have one of the lowest percentages of the money we collect at the pump that goes to roads. We're just saying all of it should go to roads. So we're going to do that. You saw that plan. It sailed through the House. My question is, what is the Senate Democrat plan? And what Governor Whitmer proposes is raising taxes on everybody, raising everyone's corporate income tax to protect the 10 or 12 most connected corporations in Michigan so they continue to make hundreds of millions of dollars in checks from the state. That doesn't make sense. I'd rather treat everyone the same, and then nobody's taxes go up. So we've shown how we can do it. We just need the Senate to come together and actually engage in this process. I think it's very clear. You see me stepping into this moment. You see Governor Whitmer engaging. I don't think either one of us are the problem here. There's one of the three legs here that's not engaging, and that's the Senate. But I will let the media make their own conclusions about that. So anyway, with that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. Yeah, from the Midwesterner. How you doing?
What was your reaction to seeing the photo of Governor Whitmer in the New York Times covering his face? And what was your reaction to her explanation of that?
Yeah, and what was her explanation? Do you remember? Right, yeah. So I'll just say this, look, I mean, there's some issues that I think bring people together. Many of those issues are the issues I've been leading on. You see, when we have the right leaders, which is me, we're bringing people together. And truthfully, look at President Trump. He's clearly bringing people together, too. And I'll just say, I'm encouraged, and I continue to be encouraged by the way that Governor Whitmer is embracing President Trump. And I would encourage her to keep embracing President Trump. It's very smart. President Trump is very popular in Michigan. And he cares very much about our state. And so the more that Governor Whitmer embraces Trump, supports Trump, compliments Trump, and helps us implement a lot of President Trump's agenda, you know, I think that's great. I mean, I'm going to be there 100% to support those efforts to engage with President Trump on behalf of the state of Michigan. And there are a couple things there that her and I definitely agree on 100%. And you look at Lisa McClain and John James and myself and Governor Whitmer, we've all been engaging with President Trump's administration on keeping a new mission for Selfridge Air Force Base, Selfridge Air National Guard Base. It's a really important part of our state. And there, you know, we couldn't get Joe Biden to do anything. And I mean, you know, now we have a leader that cares about Selfridge Air National Guard Base. And I know Jay DeBoyer, who's here, cares a lot about that. It's near his district. Alicia St. Germain, Ron Robinson, they've been working on this so hard. And so I said, yeah, I'll be there to help you support that. And you look at it, this is very important to our economy. We're not just an automotive state, right? We have a lot of things. And one of the things that's really important is our defense sector. That's really important to Michigan's economy. So, you know, as we're seeing all the pressure going on with the auto industry, let's make investments in Michigan's defense industry. Let's solidify the future of Selfridge. Let's give it a new mission so it'll exist for many, many years. It's part of our, there's a lot of people that work at Selfridge. But also it's important to our security. You know, the strategic location of Selfridge, you know, as it can come right up from where it is in the event of any kind of an attack. And then, so those are two very important parts. And then it's much cheaper if you use an Air National Guard unit versus an active duty unit. So we can actually help President Trump with his initiatives there. And then the Asian carp issue is really important. You look at that. You know, we've been working on this for 15 years since I worked for Bill Schuette when he was Attorney General, and we couldn't get Obama to do anything about it. We couldn't get Biden to do anything about it. Now we have kind of an agreement in place where we're going to see this barrier finally get built, and you wonder, how slow do these fish move? I mean, it's like 15 years ago. If we don't do this now, the Asian carp are going to be here. They're going to destroy the Great Lakes. It's 15 years. And they're still not here. And so, but they're going to be here soon. And so we need to do something. We need to do something very quickly. And this Illinois Governor Pritzker, he's now backing away from this deal. And he's blaming Trump. And so our thing is, President Trump, step up, which he is, and make sure that everyone knows that Pritzker is full of it, which we know he is. But in order for the media to print that he is, we want President Trump to call him out for it. I mean, President Trump is going to provide the resources to build this barrier. And we need him to just speak a little louder about that so we can call Pritzker out for his lie. You know, he's trying to say that this money isn't going to come, and so he's pulling back on this thing. We need him to put up his money. The federal government will put up their money. We can count on President Trump. And the state is going to put up their money, and we're going to get this thing built. So I'll just say, you know, and what does Pritzker do? All he does is criticize Trump, and then he tries to blame Trump for why Illinois is backing away from this thing. These guys don't want to do it. That's the thing. Illinois doesn't want to do it. But don't blame President Trump for it. When we were in that meeting, you saw President Trump commit to two things. He committed to getting Selfridge done, and he said that he was going to invite us to the ribbon cutting. He'd be there. And you saw him make commitments about the Asian carp. So I was really positive on that, and my take on it was, you know, I was there to step into the moment, and you saw Governor Whitmer's reaction. I stepped in, I engaged, and I got the conversation started. I answered his questions, and we came back very successful. So I think we were all lucky I was there.
Speaker Hall, can you explain to us how you and Whitmer ended up in D.C. together and what the process was of, you know, how did you end up building office?
Yeah, well, and one of you asked me a few weeks ago, So does Whitmer have a better relationship with Trump than you do? Was it you that asked me that? Well, do you still think that? Do you think she has a better relationship? I mean, it's clear that I have a very good relationship with President Trump. So, I was invited to participate in the meeting, and I think that Governor Whitmer, Governor Whitmer has had a meeting before. We know that she had that lunch with President Trump. I think it was a lunch. Was it a lunch, Tim? Or was it a dinner? Maybe it was a dinner. But you remember with the governors, with the national governors, she was in there. So she's been there a few times. I was there as well, briefing his team in the past, and I'd say this: I think when they can see Governor Whitmer and the House Republicans unifying around issues, I think it gives them even more confidence that these are the right issues to move forward on. And so, the fact that I could be there to back up these two key messages on Selfridge and also on the Asian carp, I think is why you're going to see so much action on that. So yeah, I mean, we've had a good relationship. I was invited, and when I understood what the subjects were, I was very happy to be a part of it. And then, it's kind of neat that it happened to be on TV, so you guys could all see it, part of it at least.
Were you aware that was a press conference, or did you think you were walking into a meeting?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, I've been around Trump a long time, going back to his first race, and you just have to be prepared for anything when you go into those moments with him. I'm used to it, and I think I think you all could tell I was very comfortable and used to it when I was there. I don't know what happened. If I were to guess, do you remember this was a very important day, right? I mean, we saw what was going on with the tariffs and the markets, and you saw Trump brought in, who was it? He brought in the Secretary of Commerce, Lutnick, to do the tweet, and he talked about that in the press conference. So if I had to guess, they were running behind schedule pretty significantly, and they didn't want to cancel the meeting. I mean, what if they would have canceled the meeting? That wouldn't have been good, right? I mean, we were there to deliver a message on Selfridge and on the Asian carp. So I think the meeting just kind of got merged, honestly. So part of it was in the press conference and part of it was in private. But what I noticed right away when that meeting started is when Trump came out of that room, he was 100% briefed and up to speed on Asian carp and on Selfridge, and he brought them up, right? And so I know my team and Governor Whitmer's team had done a lot of work, along with Alicia St. Germain, Ron Robinson, John James, and Lisa McLean, to ensure that Trump was briefed on those issues. He came out briefed on those issues, ready to talk. And so I took that as very encouraging. And the fact that we could get those public commitments, I think that's so much more valuable than what he says privately. So I saw it as very positive.
You don't think the president tricked the governor into coming into a press conference that she didn't want to be in?
No, I don't. I honestly think it's like a lot of things, right? So we fly down there to D.C. to meet with Trump, and he cancels. I mean, how bad would that be? So I think they just were trying to make it all work with the schedule. That's what I think. And so you saw him engage on the issues. We got public commitments, and then there was private conversation too. And so I'm just grateful that, I mean, you think about everything that was going on that day and at that time, that myself and Governor Whitmer could get into that room and make our case for Michigan, and that President Trump made that happen. I think it says a lot about how much he cares about Michigan. And it also says a lot about the relationships that we have with his administration too. Yeah, Beth, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, this morning we just had a story about several districts across the state packing more than 30 kids into classrooms.
Right.
Kindergarten classrooms. Is that a concern of yours at all, or is that your caucus? And do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, now you guys will have to remind me. I know on some of these things we've been working on, we've been looking at these student-teacher ratios. So I don't know if you guys have anything on that, but When we originally put this plan out, this House Republican plan, you remember so we came up with this in September. You remember that? And then we put this out there, we campaigned on it, we did a lot of work on it last year, and you see us moving forward on it. One of the key things that we said we needed to do at that time was look into these student-teacher ratios. And I give you credit for your story, but it's something we've been hearing anecdotally from a lot of parents across our districts is they feel that a lot of the case is these kids are in classes that are too big. So we support addressing that, and I think you'll see some more legislation forthcoming to do that. It was really good reporting. Good job, Beth. Yeah. Was it? Oh, then, yeah, I didn't like it. You know, he's a politician. Other people wrote it probably, but no, anyway, well, good. Well, you know what? Should we? No, we're not going to compliment Craig. Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
Earlier this morning, the House Oversight Committee okayed crafting a subpoena against the Department of State to obtain elections-related training materials for clerks. Just curious, you know, your feedback on that and kind of what the thought process is behind that. I see the political board is
Oh, yeah.
committee second call that.
Yeah, so, you know, I've been in this position. I've been chair of the House Oversight Committee. I've had to issue subpoenas. There were times when I wanted to issue subpoenas where the leadership told me, no, you're not. And they pulled me back, you know, the speaker at the time. You know, the direction that I gave to Jay DeBoyer and the House Oversight Committee is, you know, if you're not being, if the administration is not responding to you, if the departments are not responding to you, go issue the subpoenas. You know, I'm not holding them back, right? We're asking them to go out and do a job, and if that's what they need to do, then I support them 100%. In this case, you look at this, I mean, we're just asking Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson to provide training manuals and information that are given to local clerks in terms of administration of elections. So, you know, there are state laws about how elections are supposed to be administered, and we want to know what is it that you're giving to the local clerks to train them to ensure that they're running the elections properly, and does that comply with the law? And this has been going on for months, and Benson can't provide it to us. Imagine what it's going to be like when we're asking her for the hard stuff, right? This should be easy. I mean, every clerk in Michigan has this. I thought about it. I said, well, what if we just asked one of these local clerks for it? And then I said, well, if we did that, they'd probably try to prosecute that local clerk, honestly. I mean, you see the way that they abuse their power between Benson and Nessel. I mean, going after their political opponents. So if we got it from a clerk, which we could easily do, I'm sure they'd try to prosecute that person under some fake charges. But you look at this Secretary of State Benson, I mean, what does she do? She goes around campaigning for office. I mean, look at this, this very strange turnaround on the Detroit Chamber Conference. She writes this letter, and she probably thinks that I'm going to bail her out because we know the Senate Democrats, all they were worried about. I mean, we saw them pass that bill on DEI, all the statement of principles on DEI. We saw them file a lot of lawsuits against the House, and those are all getting dismissed and moved around. They're losing left and right there. And then they really wanted to change the law to make sure they could go to the Detroit Chamber Conference for free. I said, we're not doing that. Well, guess what? Jocelyn Benson wrote another letter, and you read the whole thing, and it looks like it's going to go one way, and then right at the end she says, oh, well, even the most irrelevant members of the House are worth more than this number for the Detroit Chamber Conference, so everybody can go for free. So that's what she did. She reversed her decision to make sure politicians could go to the Detroit Chamber Conference for free. And I know a lot of her supporters are bigwigs in the Detroit Chamber, so it's very interesting. Then you look at this website. Has anybody tried to go to this website? I don't know if Simon Schuster's here, but you tried? Well, it's a mess. I would tell her, stop campaigning, Jocelyn Benson, and go fix your website. I mean, you go on there, you can't find anything about the donations people are getting. They want your contact information so they can know who's looking up their records. I mean, I'm just telling you, people in the media, I probably wouldn't give you real information if you're looking up Jocelyn Benson's campaign reports, because she's going to look and know it's you. But you look at this website, it's dysfunctional for the public to look up campaign finance. It's dysfunctional for us to file our campaign finance reports, you know. Their website's a mess. You see this law they keep reinterpreting on the campaign, what you have to list for your gifts and things. That is a mess. And now we see this is a mess. And so, I mean, if she was doing her job, we wouldn't need to have subpoenas. You know, they could just turn over the training manuals so that we can make sure we look at them and see whether they're doing their job. I saw a very respected group just gave her a D yesterday for her administration of elections. You saw that. It's a mess. I mean, we had 15 foreign nationals vote in the last election that she would admit to. That's horrible. We shouldn't have one foreign national voting in our elections, honestly. So, yeah, I think we need to get those training manuals. And what I'm telling our team is this. You know, this has been months. No more of this, oh, yeah, we'll get it to you tomorrow. I mean, we've waited a reasonable time. And I know the committee gave the chairman the power to issue the subpoena. And when he sees the need to issue it, he has my 100% full backing, because the days of these departments and the Secretary of State's office just doing whatever the hell they want with nobody watching them is over. Legislative oversight is back. It's serious, and they need to comply. And if they don't comply, they're going to get dragged into court, and we're going to subpoena them. We're going to get the records. We are. Yeah, Tim. No. And, you know, this is one of the things that I expressed to President Trump when I talked to him in the meeting. You know, Michigan workers support President Trump's tariffs. Now, if you talk to the big CEOs, people like Mary Barra, you know, these people, they don't want the tariffs. But I'll say this, they didn't say a word when President Trump gave them the biggest tax cut in the history of this country. And they took all that benefit. What we're saying is we need to do something different to level the playing field and to ensure that Michigan workers have jobs. We need to bring back jobs to Michigan. And so tariffs is a way that we can do that, and tariffs on the automotive industry, making it so that more jobs come back. But what a messed up system we have in this country, where what we do is we subsidize the companies to try to keep them here and make the products cheaper. What we're saying is let's put the tariffs on these other countries so that the companies bring back the manufacturing to America. So I told him, stay the course. Michigan workers support you, and keep doing it. And I think he will.
Would you concede that in the short term, the budget may take a hit?
Number one, I'll say when we're dealing with the budget, what we're doing is we're preparing for a budget that's smaller than last year. We've been doing that this whole time because we're going to fit the roads into that budget without raising taxes. And in order to do that, we're already preparing for a smaller budget than last year. I mean, under Whitmer, government has grown 43% since she became governor. You know, what we're saying is if we could cut less than 1%. So when Darren Camilleri and all these radical left senators say, you know, $3 billion in cuts, that's bull crap. That's not true. I told you, I walked through the plan with you. I showed you how you do it. The only cuts in this plan are less than 1% of the state budget. And I would just say, if we can't cut less than 1% of the state budget to fund the roads, which is a major priority of everybody, we have the wrong priorities. So we're moving forward expecting the budget to be smaller than last year, but we're going to set these 3 priorities: roads, public safety with a public safety trust fund, and education. You saw our government shutdown prevention plan already increases the per pupil foundation allowance, something the Democrats didn't do last year. So that's what we're doing. And then I'll just say this, look, there's a reason that no one other than President Trump has had the courage to try to reset what's been going on since NAFTA in the 90s, where you see jobs leaving Michigan and going to Canada and Mexico and China and many other places. And that's going to be tough in the short term, realigning that. And you see some of that happening. But in the long run, we are going to see major changes in terms of manufacturing plants and jobs being brought back to Michigan. And that's what it should be about, is Michigan workers having good paying jobs here in Michigan. And that's what President Trump is doing. And I said to him, thank you on behalf of the workers in Michigan, because when we talk to people in our districts, they get that and they support it. The CEOs don't get it, but the workers get it, and to stay the course. And I think he will. And we're all going to be better off because of it. Yeah.
When we're talking about public safety, and I know you're moving forward with that public safety trust fund, I had a conversation with Representative Schmaltz earlier today that mentioned, she said, corrections officers in shortage as well is applying to that safety, public safety issue. I want to ask you, is there any motions, I know that those 9 bills are part of that mentioned ongoing litigation, but is there any plans in the future to help with that and that public safety issue as well?
Yeah, and you know, Kathy Schmaltz, I mean, she has been a fierce advocate for our corrections workers. I mean, there's nobody who's a stronger voice for corrections workers than Kathy Schmaltz. I mean, I think it's probably the only thing, I mean, every day she's saying to me, how can we do more for the correction workers? So give her credit for that. And I believe that she has a bill up today that would include the corrections workers in committee. She had a bill up today that would ensure that the corrections workers are covered under some of these tax breaks that other people got. And so that's a really positive thing that Kathy's working on. I would just say, like, when it comes to the bills that Speaker Tate didn't present, the body spoke, right? I mean, we were doing a thorough legal review, and then Rochelle Smith put up a resolution. The body voted, and it wasn't just Republicans. I looked over and I saw many Democrats voting aye, that they believe that the only bills that we can present this term are ones that pass both chambers this term. And so we're going to do what the body asked us to do through resolution, which is to only present bills that have passed both chambers this term. And you see the Democrats. We have Steve Liedl, who's doing a great job, and just in every single court so far, you see the Senate Democrats losing, getting dismissed, getting sent to other courts. So, so far the courts agree that we should only present bills that were passed both chambers this term.
So we got time for just 1 or 2 more.
Sorry, with my follow-up question then, what is preventing another bill similar to that one coming forward to help us?
Yeah. Well, I would talk to Winnie Brinks about that, There's a reason why no one in Michigan's history has ever sued the other chamber, right? You see, you need the House, the Senate, and the governor to pass a bill. So most people probably would not have sued the House and been embarrassed in court after court. I'll just say, I mean, I said this at the beginning, but look, I mean, you see me putting forward a roads plan in the House Republicans. You see Governor Whitmer talking about roads. We hear crickets from the Senate. We hear crickets from the House Democrat leader. Then you look at the White House, right? I was there with Governor Whitmer to ensure that we got Michigan's message across. I mean, Winnie Brinks wasn't there, Senate wasn't there. Nobody knows where they are. They're not here today. We're here today voting. So they have no plans, just a negative governing philosophy. So when you're trying to sort this out and figure out what the problem is here, I would say maybe it's the one that's filing lawsuits that are going nowhere against other parties, and the ones that are putting no positive plans on the table, only criticizing with no plan. Maybe they're the ones. And I would just encourage the Senate Democrats, they should follow Governor Whitmer's lead. Governor Whitmer has a very high approval rating in Michigan, and Governor Whitmer is the reason they have a Senate majority. So maybe they should support her and empower her. If they don't want to have the negotiations and they don't have any plans, maybe they should support and empower her so we can start solving problems. Because that's what Michigan wants. They want leaders that are going to fix their roads, that are going to fight for Selfridge, that are going to fight for our Great Lakes, that are going to improve education, make our education system better. All things that House Republicans are focused on. That's what they want. And if the Senate Democrats don't want to engage and don't have plans, we'll figure it out with Governor Whitmer, but they need to support her so we can get things done. Just like Eric Nesbitt supported me. You know, one of the reasons we got sick leave and tip credit done is because Eric Nesbitt supported me. And the Senate Republicans supported the House Republicans, and we worked together unified, and we got that done. We saved many people's jobs, and we saved many small businesses, and we protected sick leave for workers, but they have jobs, so it works. All right, anything else? All right, well, we exhausted all the questions, so. And I heard Governor Whitmer wouldn't take any questions yesterday, so hopefully that helps, but thank you, everybody.